You have never killed anyone, but your brain has run the simulation. Somewhere in your skull, right now, there is a set of circuits built for exactly one purpose: to calculate whether a stranger is a threat, to decide in a fraction of a second whether to fight, freeze, or strike first. You call this instinct, scientists call it something else, and the uncomfortable truth is this: the same wiring that makes a person capable of murder is sitting quietly inside you too. It just usually stays off. What flips the switch? Start with a question. Why does almost every culture on Earth, separated by oceans and centuries, produce killers who follow eerily similar patterns? Not identical people. Identical patterns. Anthropologist Napoleon Chagnon spent years living among the Yanomamo people of the Amazon. He found that men who had killed in tribal conflict had more wives and more children than men who had not. Killing in that context was not chaos. It was strategy. A brutal, ancient kind of status. That single finding cracked open a bigger idea. Violence is not always a malfunction. Sometimes it is a tool. Your ancestors lived in small, resource-starved groups where strangers were dangerous by default. A rival tribe could mean stolen food, stolen mates, stolen territory. So evolution did what it always does. It rewarded the traits that helped people survive that world: vigilance, quick judgment, and in rare, specific circumstances, lethal action. This does not mean you are a killer waiting to happen. It means you inherited the machinery. Most of the time, that machinery builds fences, not weapons. It shows up as suspicion of strangers, as a flash of rage in traffic, as the tightening in your chest when someone stands too close in a dark parking lot. Psychologist David Buss has spent decades studying what he calls the homicide adaptation theory. His research surveyed thousands of people and found something startling. The vast majority had experienced vivid, detailed fantasies of killing another person. Not vague anger, specific plans: who, how, why. Buss argues this is not evidence of hidden monsters walking among us. It is evidence of an ancient problem-solving system, one built to handle mortal threats, still quietly running in the background of a mind that will almost certainly never use it. Your brain rehearses violence the way it rehearses a difficult conversation, just in case. So what separates the person who only fantasizes from the person who acts? Here is where it gets stranger. It is rarely about being a fundamentally different kind of human. It is about circumstance stacking on circumstance until the ancient system misfires. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo proved this with a study so disturbing it is still taught in every introductory psychology class. In 1971, he placed ordinary college students into the roles of guards and prisoners inside a simulated prison. Within days, the guards, chosen for being average and psychologically stable, began inflicting real cruelty. Not because they were secretly sadistic, because the situation gave their ancient status and dominance instincts a stage, and no one stopped the performance. Zimbardo's conclusion was not that a few bad people exist. It was that ordinary people, placed in the wrong conditions, will do things that would horrify the version of themselves sitting at home on a Tuesday. Power without accountability, anonymity, group pressure, dehumanizing language. These are not modern inventions. They are the exact conditions your ancestors lived in during intergroup conflict, and your brain still responds to them the same way it always has. Think about that the next time you watch a crowd turn on someone online. The pile-on, the pseudonyms, the sense that everyone else is doing it too. Different weapon. Same ancient circuitry. There is another piece to this puzzle, and it lives in the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain that processes fear and threat. Neuroscience studies using brain imaging have repeatedly shown that individuals convicted of violent crimes often display reduced activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for impulse control and weighing consequences. Adrian Raine, a criminologist who has scanned the brains of murderers for over 3 decades, found this pattern so consistently that he now argues violence has a measurable biological signature. But here's the twist that should make you sit up. Raine also found that plenty of people with this exact same brain pattern never commit a violent act in their entire lives. The biology loads the gun. It does not pull the trigger. What pulls the trigger is almost always environment. Childhood trauma, chronic threat, social isolation, a community that offers no other way to gain respect or safety. Take away those conditions, and the same brain, the same instinct, simply never gets activated. This is the part that most true crime stories skip over. They want a monster. A clean explanation that keeps the danger safely outside of normal people. But the real answer is far less comfortable. The instinct is universal. What varies is the trigger. Consider your own reactions for a moment. The stranger who lingers too long near your car. The argument that makes your hands clench before your mind even catches up. That is not a personality flaw. That is hundreds of thousands of years of ancestors who survived because they took threats seriously and reacted fast. You are not broken for feeling it. You would be unusual if you did not. What makes you different from someone who acts on it is not the absence of the instinct. It is the presence of everything else. Empathy built from safe relationships, impulse control strengthened by a stable environment, a community that gives you other paths to status and safety besides violence. Remove enough of those layers and the ancient system underneath is still there, waiting, the same as it is in every human being who has ever lived. So the next time a true crime documentary asks how someone could possibly do something so horrific, remember this. The question is not really how they were capable of it. Every brain carries the same raw capability. The real question, the one that should unsettle you more, is what happens when the modern layers protecting the rest of us are stripped away. You have never killed anyone, but somewhere in your skull, the simulation has already run.